Thank you all for watching our first lesson of Learn Luganda. Before we start, I'd like to apologize in advance. I'm not a native speaker of Luganda, so my pronunciation might not be on spot all the time. And I'm not a native speaker of English either, so I apologize for any mistakes I might make. And I'm not a grammarian or linguist, so I might not be using the most appropriate grammatical terms. I am, though, a recent learner of Luganda myself, so I do feel quite confident that I'm in a position to teach at least the basics of Luganda, especially because I have the perspective of a learner. Today we'll be talking about grammar, about the verb conjugation, and I hope you enjoy. In order to conjugate a verb in Luganda, what you have to do is you have to find the stem of a verb. So how do we do that? Let's take a look at other languages. For example, German. In German, to read is lesen. Let's make it blue. Lesen. To walk is laufen. And to work is arbeiten. Now what you notice, in all of these verbs, the ending is the same, en. This ending is the infinitive marker, the infinitive indicator. If we take it away, we have the stem. And the same goes for so many other languages. Take a look at Spanish. Vider, jugar, ir. If you take away the R, or the ER, or the AR, the ER, the IR, you have the stem of the verb. Same for Persian, didan, raftan, kardan, and so on. So all you have to do is you have to take away the infinitive marker. The same goes for Luganda. Very easy. Let's take a look at a few verbs. For example, to read is okusoma. To walk is okutambula, and to work is okukola. I'm sure you notice the oku is the infinitive marker in Luganda. The infinitive marker indicator. Now, why do we need to know that? Well, just like all the other languages, in order to conjugate a verb, we have to take away the infinitive indicator. Because when we have the infinitive marker, we're talking about the verb in general, to play, to go, to read, to work. But now we want to talk about I work, you read, she walks. So in order to do that, in most languages, you have to remove this marker, the suffix or prefix, and then you have to attach the marker, the personal prefixes or suffixes. In Luganda, these are prefixes. In fact, let's look at the first person singular prefix for I. I read, I walk, I work. In Luganda, that is N. First person singular prefix, N. Now you can imagine, it's very easy. You just attach it to the stem. Just like in German, you would attach the I at the end. Ich spiele, ich gehe, ich laufe, ich arbeite. Now let's do it. Okusoma, to read, for I read becomes nsoma. or kutambula, to walk, for I walk becomes ntambula, and I work becomes nkola. Very easy. We'll learn some exceptions later, but for now that's all you need to know. I is N. So if you have watched our other videos, you have actually encountered quite a few of these. Let's take a look. In lesson 7, we learned how to say I like.
Njagala, 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 njagala.
Njagala. You can see the N? That indicates the first person singular. How about I enjoy?
Numero, 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 numero.
Numero. The first N stands for I. Now, the prefix for the second person singular is O. So now, just like for the first person, what we have to do is we have to attach the O to the stem. In fact, we could replace the N here using the O. So nsoma, I read, becomes osoma, you read. Ntambula, I walk, becomes otambula. And nkola, I work, becomes okola. Osoma, otambula, okola. In fact, we've encountered these too. Let's take a look. In lesson 10, we learned how to say, where do you live?
Osulawa, osulawa, osulawa.
As you can see, the O indicates the U, and there's no need for a separate word. There's no need for a separate U, even though they do exist in Luganda. We only use them for the sake of emphasis. How about what do you do?
Okolachi, okolachi, okolachi.
Okolachi. Again, the O indicates the U, and there's no word for you. The prefix for the third person singular is A. So I'm sure you can imagine osoma, you read, will be asoma. He or she reads. In Luganda, we don't differentiate between he or she in the verbs. So it's just asoma. Could be a male, could be a female. Otambula, you walk, will be atambula. And okola, you work, will be akola. Now let's take a look at the plural. In order to say we work, we walk, and we read, we attach the first person singular, first person plural prefix, which is tu. Tu. So instead of saying asoma, we say tusoma. tusoma. Atambula, tutambula. And akola will be tukola. For you, plural, it will be mu, mu. So tusoma will be musoma. You guys, read. Tutambula, we walk, will be mutambula. You guys walk. You guys work will be mukula. And the one person missing is the third person plural, they, ba. Ba. Basoma, they read. Batambula, they walk. And bakula, they work. So now that we have covered all the prefixes for people, for regular verbs, there will be some exceptions, just to warn you, but for now that's enough. So let's take a look at the whole table. There we go. That's it. N for I, O for you, A for he or she, 2 for we, mu for you guys, you plural, and ba for they. So now that you can conjugate verbs, you need some practice. So if I tell you that okusamba mupira means to play football, can you say I play football? And if I tell you okuzina is to dance, can you say we dance? And if I tell you okutunda amenvu is to sell bananas, can you say they sell bananas? You can leave your answers in the comment section, but we'll cover the answers in the next lesson. Until then, good luck. Kambaligize o kwiga kulungi.